Thank you for joining us. You're watching V News broadcasting from the capital. As usual, the following are top stories.
Cabinet members answer questions on issues in the chart. Vietnamese textile products showcase in Australia. Dong Sơn culture on display in the capital city of Hanoi.
Cabinet members have answered questions on issues in their charge during the National Assembly's hearing session. Let's have a look. On November 19th, Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng made clear an array of issues of deputies and voters' concern. In his report delivered at the session, the government leader mentioned the country's socio-economic situation in October and November of 2014, as well as the plan for 2015. He also talked about the management of public debt and state budget, along with the improvement of investment environment. Other issues include how to increase productivity and sustainable poverty reduction, particularly among ethnic groups. On November 19, Minister of Transport Ninh La Thăng continued to appear before the legislature. He cleared up queries on transportation structure and the settlement of overloaded vehicles. During the previous working day, Minister Thăng clarified questions regarding transport tolls, the development of transport infrastructure, and the fight against corruption in the sector. On November 19th, Minister of Labour, Invalids and Social Affairs Phạm Thị Hải Truyền responded to queries on the situation and solutions for the violation of labour law, the management of foreign workers in Vietnam, and employment, especially among new graduates. Vietnam and Italy have exchanged experience in judicial activities during a visit from November 16th to November 19th to the European country by a delegation of the Central Steering Committee for Judicial Reform.
The committee's deputy head, Leti Tuba, joined a working session with representatives from Italy's Supreme Judiciary Council. She introduced participants to Vietnam's judicial reform results, especially the adoption of the 2013 Constitution. She said many laws related to the organization and operation of judiciary agencies will be approved by the National Assembly in the coming time so as to concretize the new Constitution. Vice President of Italy's Supreme Judiciary Council, Giovanni Lagnini, spoke highly of Vietnam's efforts in judicial reform, as well as the role played by the Central Steering Committee for Judicial Reform in the work. The Vice President stated Italy is willing to assist Vietnam in bettering its judicial system.
Experts have raised a concern that the East Sea is becoming a strategic competitive space for world powers. They were debating at the 6th International Conference in the East Sea that concluded on November 18th in the central city of Da Nang.
However, some agreed the complicated situation in the East Sea would be a chance for ASEAN and its partners to boost their positive role in seeking solutions to the issue. They also gave much space to clarify legal regulations applied to the 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone and the continental shelf, as well as the rights of coastal states over the areas. Participants at the two-day event said all parties should refrain from conducting any unilateral actions that could change the status quo in the East Sea. Concluding the conference, Ambassador Đặng Đình Quý, President of the Vietnam Academy of Diplomacy, proposed the participants continue researching on the issues to help all parties concerned clearly understand their legal obligations in the maintenance of the status quo in the East Sea.
With the aim of strengthening solidarity, mutual understanding and friendship among the ASEAN militaries, the ASEAN Chiefs of Army initiated ASEAN Army's Rifle Meet in 1990. This year's event is taking place at the Miêu Mon National Training Center in Mỹ Đức District, Hanoi.
The competition drew the participation of 543 athletes from the armies of the 10 ASEAN countries. They will serve their skills at 22 shooting events divided into 5 categories, namely rifle, carbine, machine gun, pistol men and pistol women. The Vietnam People's Army has sent 37 shooters to the competition. The event will run until November 28th.
Vietnam, the world's second largest rice exporter, has sent nearly 50 representatives to the 6th World Rice Conference in Cambodia's capital city of Phnom Penh on November 19th. The country's objective is to seek new partners through the event.
Initiated by industry trade publication The Rice Trader, this year's event saw the presence of around 500 rice manufacturers, producers and associations from 40 countries and territories worldwide. Participating in the conference, the Vietnamese representatives will also have a chance to learn about the markets, orientations, as well as measures to address difficulties in rice export and import. Best Rice Award 2014 will be presented during the two-day event.
Although Vietnam ships abroad a large number of rice every year, rice production has yet to be improved much. It is a must to focus on rice quality in order to raise rice product value and producers' income.
Best Rice Award 2014 will be presented during the two-day event. Joining in the conference, we hope to bring Vietnam's rice specialties to the world and help customers learn more about Vietnamese rice. Vietnam's total rice export volume so far this year reaches 4.9 million tons. The country hopes to ship abroad 6.5 to 7 million tons of rice this year.
In the context of international integration, the garment and textile sector, Vietnam's key foreign currency earners, is striving to further develop. As part of the move, a dozen of Vietnamese textile businesses are participating in the Australian International Sourcing Fair.
Vietnamese textile and garment products are present at 54 nations and territories worldwide. The country earned $97.3 million from apparel exports to Australia in the first 9 months of this year, up 46.8% year-on-year. On display at the fair's two-day pavilions are products from major companies such as Garco Tan, Hồ Gươm, Đông Xuân, Phong Phú, Thái Hòa and Thăng Long. Chairman of the Vietnam's Business Association in Australia, Trần Bá Phúc, describes the three-day event as an unparalleled opportunity for Vietnamese firms to introduce their products to international friends.
A campaign was launched in Hanoi on November 18th in response to the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, November 25th. The 2010 Vietnam National Study on Domestic Violence revealed that 58.3% of women suffered from either mental, physical, or sexual violence. According to UN research, economic losses caused by domestic violence accounted for 1.5% of Vietnam's gross domestic product in 2012. In 1999, the UN designated November 25th as the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. The one-month campaign is held by the United Nations in Vietnam in collaboration with the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism and other relevant ministries. It aims to draw the attention of the public, especially men and boys, to ending violence against women and girls in the country. Speaking at the launch ceremony, Deputy Minister Huỳnh Vĩnh Ái said, as violence hinders economic development and increased poverty, Vietnam has developed a legal framework to deal with gender inequality and domestic violence. UN Country Coordinator in Vietnam, Pratibha Mehta, said that both men and women must take the lead in gender equality and violence prevention. A series of events such as seminars, exhibitions, parades, runs and flash mobs will be held in 12 cities and provinces nationwide during the campaign, which will last until December 16th. In 1954, 100 out of the 200 outstanding Vietnamese students sent to Russia for training and education were taken under the wings of Sofia Leonidovna Kochikova at the Training Institute for Leaders and Officials. 60 years later, Vietnam News Agency reporters met with Sophia to talk about her experience teaching some of Vietnam's best and brightest. Let's take a look.
92 years old Sofia Ledinova Kochikova, Associate Professor of Linguistics, lives in an apartment on Chestnut Street in Moscow. Her life's work is not reflected in the luxury of her home, but rather the seemingly endless collection of books. It requires very little stress of the imagination to picture this old lady as the first teacher for the 100 outstanding Vietnamese students sent to Russia in 1954.
We truly admire the discipline and sense of responsibility of the Vietnamese students, as well as the eagerness to study. They exerted their best efforts to study and complete all of their homework. Years later, teaching Russian to the next generation of Vietnamese students, we see a similar sense of sincerity in their work.
Her admiration for the students' passion and dedication inspired Sophia to edit and publish a batch of 200 textbooks on the Russian language, especially for Vietnamese learners, using personal funds. Sophia donated 100 books to the Vietnamese embassy in Russia to be sent back to Vietnam's Russia institutes.
The reason why I prioritize Vietnamese learners is because I taught many Vietnamese students and feel close to them. I also think Vietnamese learners struggle a lot with the Russian language, especially with pronunciation and grammar.
We arrived at Sophia's home the day she received a letter of gratitude from the Vietnamese ambassador in Russia, Nguyễn Thanh Sơn, thanking her for the 100 textbooks. Sophia's book, Making Acquaintances, is a priceless gift, especially since this year marks the 60th anniversary of her first Russian lesson for Vietnamese students. Some of her proteges include former Deputy Prime Minister Vũ Khoan and former Foreign Ministry spokesperson Hồ Thị Lan.
Đông Sơn culture, which dated back to the 1000 BC, plays an important role in the development of Vietnamese history. As such, an exhibition on Đông Sơn culture is underway in the capital city of Hanoi. Đông Sơn culture proved to be a foundation for the establishment of the first kingdom in ancient Vietnam. The culture got its name from Đông Sơn village on the bank of the Ma River in the central province of Thanh Hóa. A number of bronze drums were found by chance in 1924, marking the first evidence of the culture's existence. The show marks the 90th anniversary of the discovery of Đông Sơn culture. As many as 271 artifacts on display were collected from the National Museum and localities nationwide, including Hanoi, the central province of Thanh Hóa, and the northern mountainous province of Lào Cai. Most artifacts found since were made of iron, stone, glass, wood, and bronze.
Through the display, visitors will be able to visualize the daily lives of ancient Vietnamese 2,000 years ago. Đông Sơn culture is particularly important as it plays part in Vietnam's core cultural identity with regards to material facilities.
Across 90 years of researches, archaeologists have discovered over 200 relic sites of the Đông Sơn culture, distributed in 3 river valleys in the northern and northern central areas of Vietnam.
One of the most important aspects of the Đông Sơn culture is its originality and uniqueness of Vietnam, and not influenced by foreign culture. It stands as the beginning of our civilization 2,000 years ago.
Also on the same day, the History Museum hosted a seminar on the Đông Sơn culture. Scholars from archaeological agencies, cultural researchers, and museum staff nationwide attended the event. The show will run until April 2015. And that has concluded our program. Thank you for watching. We hope to see you again soon.